This week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not brought to you by flowers, chocolates, or candlelit dinners. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob, and we're continuing our travel around the globe. The last 2 weeks we've had a couple of Americans on, and this week is no different. The only difference is, you know this one. He's been on the show a couple of times before, but it's been a moment, and I'm thrilled to have him back. And when you find out what time it is, where he is right now, you'll be baffled as to why he would say yes. But before we jump in and introduce him, you can probably figure it out by the title of the episode already. But I always do a bit of a soft intro. So I will say this. Today's theme is all about love. You know, I love movies. I love talking about movies. I love my guest today. And he loves movies and he loves horror. He even hosts a podcast called We Love Horror. So let's bring in the man I love, Michael Siri from We Love Horror. Welcome back, mate.
Oh my gosh, you do know how to such a gentleman. You know how to you really know how to flatter, someone.
Dude,
So thank you for that.
you're so welcome. It is lovely to see. We unlike normal, like normally we catch up like an hour. It's about 4:30 in the
Yeah,
morning where you are right now. So
it is. Yeah. And I so as your listeners and my listeners don't quite know yet because I haven't been able to post an episode in the last few weeks because I've been busy. I just recently moved again, and I recently moved back to Kansas for a while to spend time be closer with my family because, as your listeners probably know, and my listeners know by now, my mental health has not been great the last few years. So
mm,
I decided I'm gonna make a change. So I decided I'm moving back to Kansas I'm giving myself a year. My goal is a year
nice.
to get my shit together again, and then we'll see where I end up a year from now. But right now, I'm back in Kansas, so that's why I have not posted an episode on my podcast in a while. But yeah, I'm back. So thank you for having me. And it's 4 o'clock here, and the whole point of me saying that was the fact that I got the time zones changed because I'm an hour behind when I'm in Utah than I am in Kansas. So when
Yeah.
we scheduled this episode, originally it was 3 a.m. and I was like, oh yeah, that's fine, whatever. And then today I talked to James and he was like, no, it's like 3 a.m. your time in Utah. And I was like, oh yeah, so it's 4 a.m. here. So yeah.
Yeah, and I felt so bad because I was like, I'm putting my daughter to bed, and like generally she's pretty good. Like she normally sleeps about half an hour, but it was the last day of kindergarten for her today, 3-year-old kinder, so it was big, a lot of excitement and stuff like that. And she just had a lot of energy, and she just would not go to sleep. Like she was just singing and stuff. I'm like, I've got to get to Michael as soon as possible because the poor guy's been staying up. And I can't even be like, well, I'd do it for you because I think the earliest I've got up for you is 6, but 4:30 is definitely like you definitely have the edge on me there. Um,
Yeah. And I had to message you earlier and be like, hey, I don't mean to sound like a dick here, but I know we normally do like a half an hour to an hour chat before we record, but can we move the chat to actually recording today? Because I do
yeah,
have to get to bed at some point, but I was like, I have plenty of time. I have no issues like being on here talking to you. However long it takes, I'm fine. So thank you. I'm happy to be here.
no, it's good to have you back, and I think it's really good timing because last week on the show. We had Kyle, and I met Kyle through you on your kind of triumphant return. You know, you took some time off, as you mentioned, and you've mentioned some mental health stuff, and obviously, um, I'm here for you, and we've spoken a lot about your mental health offline and stuff as well. But I know that my listeners are a big fan of you. I told Gabby, who's a regular on the show, that you were coming back on, and she was like, "Finally, like we got another Michael episode coming up."
Thank
A-
you.
and I'm sure your listeners are feeling for you as well. But you got to do what
Yeah.
what's right for you and look after yourself. But I'm glad that I could have both of you back to back because without you, I wouldn't have met Kyle. So it's almost kind of like there's
Yeah.
almost like two sequels to that initial episode at the start of the year in a weird way. Um,
Very true. Yeah. Well, you met Kyle through me, and I met Tyler through you, technically. So we're kind
is that
of
right?
because
No,
kind of
you met
because
Kevin. I think you met Kevin through me.
you're right. Yep. I was thinking for
Mm.
some reason I was thinking Tyler because we both did like the episode on the Scream film
Yeah,
that he did. And yeah, no, it was Kevin. You're right.
I
Sorry.
wish I could have that claim to fame, but Kevin's a pretty good guy. I'll take credit for
He
that.
is. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I love Kevin. He's
I haven't
great.
spoken to Kevin in a while. Actually, I got to shoot him a message, poor guy. But he's doing well. I can't talk about it. I'll tell you offline. But you might know already. But he's got like a pretty big guest booked for his show coming up. And when he told me,
Yeah,
I
he
was like,
told me.
"Oh, did he?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing! Like that's so cool."
Yeah. And it was I don't remember exactly if he like I feel like he tried to like downplay it when he told me though. He was like, it's not exciting as when you had the director of the Blair Witch Project on your show. And I'm like, no, that's pretty fucking big. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
Don't downplay it, please. Like,
both that you having the director of Blair, which is very cool, and him having this person coming on is pretty cool as well.
yeah,
And
yeah, it's exciting.
oh, like there's such an easy like link to reference it because no, I can't give it away. It's not mine used to give away. Damn it, it's very cool though.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and I remember I said to him, I'm like, hey, if you want like an extra co-host that episode, like let me know.
Yeah,
Just
if you want a third co-host, the power of three, it's
yeah,
we're better in groups of three. So Kevin, if you want me and you know, James on the show, let us know.
yeah. Pot is thick in the
We'll be
water.
more than
Remember,
happy.
let's test that theory now. Uh,
Yeah,
I can't say too much, but I actually might have a director coming on the show as well. I'm in the process of talking with someone. So, um,
that's exciting.
well, the news that the listener no longer privy to is cool if it happens, and even if it doesn't happen, just the acknowledge. Like for me, it's just like just the acknowledgement. Like, hey, we think you'd be good for this is enough for me. Um,
Yeah, it's wild to feel like they've heard about me obviously if they're
mm.
reaching out. So that's something. I'm like,
Well,
okay, cool.
I've been doing this. I mentioned at the start of my intro that I'm doing kind of my international guest series at the moment, and that's because like in year one, the podcast I was like, this is just for me. It's just a hobby. And then at the end of year one, I met Tyler and Harley. I met you and Kev casually, but we hadn't really caught up or anything yet. And I got to do that interview. I'm like, okay, well, that was bigger than anything I've expected to do. So then last year, I
Yeah.
was like, right. I'm like, year two, we're getting as many episodes out as possible. And it's the year of the crossover. Let's like get hooked up with some of these podcasts. And then
Yeah.
this year, I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, oh, I guess like, I've peaked, like that sort of thing. And then I was thinking about, I was like, you know what? Like, no, like it's time to get bold. I'm just going to put myself out there. And even if I get like a wave of rejection, at least I tried. So, like, I've been just like approaching strangers basically. Like, a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago, I had Sam on, who a lot of people on Instagram know as Maiden Macabre. She's a huge horror fan, does a lot of reviews. She was fantastic. Kyle was it? Yeah, I knew was probably going to be a pretty good show because I'd met him through you, but he was a first time guest. And then yeah, this weekend I'm actually interviewing an actor and doing another podcast crossover. I don't know if you know the guys from Movie Boners. Um,
Yeah. So after you talked to me, I messaged them because I was like, I wanted them on my show as well. I hope that you're okay with that. I hope you weren't
no,
like, oh, now he's like wanting to get on my
no,
guest
not
on
at
his show.
all. No, you're my boy. It's all good.
I know, no, because it was just so you told me about their awards show that they were doing. So I
Mm.
listened to it and I was a really big fan of it. And or not their episode, not that episode, because I don't think it had been out yet. I'm talking about one of their other episodes because I wanted to start listening to them before they released that episode. Sorry. I'm loopy today.
It's 4:30.
I'm
You're okay, or 4 o'clock, or whatever
yeah.
time it is. You're okay.
So I listened to a couple other episodes and I actually really liked them. So I reached out to them. And so yeah, we have something in the works, but
Nice.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, they seem really
Yeah.
lovely. I think they listen to the show, so this is going to be like I hope I don't shatter their dreams. But when they reached out to me to do the awards show thing, I was just like, that was when I was in my. I'm like, I'm saying yes to everything. I'm going to try everything. So I said yes, but I had to lie in my presentation. I said I was a huge fan of the podcast. At the time of recording, I hadn't listened to the podcast, but
That
but
happens sometimes, honestly.
but I have since listened to the podcast, and it's fantastic. I love their show a lot, actually. And it was so much fun. Like they gave me they let me play Batman. Like no, that was never gonna happen. But that
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna catch up with them, and then yeah, I got a few other things in the works. But yeah, I think there's a director I've been courting for a while, and she's like yes. Talk to my publicist. Like she's like, I'm totally down for this with my publicist. So I've been going back and forth with the publicist, which is very new territory for me.
Yeah.
But just I was like, well, Kevin and Michael interview directors, so I got to interview a director now. So,
No, like, and that's the thing that I like that you're doing now. Like you talked about like being bold and just taking a swing, and like that's how I've been on my show. Like I've just kind of reached out to certain people, and sometimes I don't ever get a response back. Sometimes they don't even read the message, and I can understand that because they probably get millions of messages every day. But the people that have reached out, I'm like, that never would have happened if I wouldn't have taken that chance and like
Mm.
sent that, I would have never have gotten the Blair Witch, like I would never have gotten him on my show if I never would have messaged him and like been like, hey, do you want to come on my show? And it just happened that he messaged me and we got that like together and it was amazing. And oh my gosh, just other people that I found on the show, like my friend that plays Dollface in the second Strangers movie. Like I reached out to her. Like initially we were just, we were strangers to each other and now we're friends. And
Zing.
you know,
Um, sorry, that's a very good reference. The US was strangers and she was in strangers. Um,
yeah.
so
And Anthony, the one that did Last Shift in Malum, like I reached out to him and it just happened that way. And so it's
I
yeah, I
finally watched Malum. I watched it. I haven't. I can't get access to Last Shift at all, but I finally watched Malum yesterday actually, and
yeah,
I know. I think the last time when you were saying that you preferred Last Shift, just because
yeah,
like the low budget thing really, and like it wasn't like a critique or whatever. Because you're like, I hope I'm not offending my friends. Like you just preferred the first one due to the restrictions of the low budget. But having not
yeah,
seen Last Shift, I thought Malum was excellent. I thought it was very very creepy, and it made me really want to check out Last Shift because I've heard from
yeah.
a lot of people that it's even creepier. But no, I dug it a lot. So
Yeah, it's and like I said, I want to preface because I have watched it again since we did that Oscars episode.
mm,
And it is a good movie. I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I think for me it was just like, and I think it's one of those cases where it's kind of the similar thing with like remakes or certain movies that are like older like 80s movies that were made into remakes. There are a lot of movies that came out in the 70s and the 80s that I watched the remakes first, like When a
yeah,
Stranger Calls, Prom Night, like all these movies, I watched the remakes first. And sometimes I prefer the remake over the original just because I watched that first. And so I think that might be the case with The Last Shift. I watched The Last Shift first, obviously.
yeah.
And so when Malum came out, I think I just kind of like, I don't know. I thought it was good, but I'm glad you liked it. I am. I'm really glad you liked it.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned remakes. We will at some point we will get back to the last Halloween. Remember we did our sequels
Yeah.
episode. We do have a list of
Yes.
remakes to get to, but I'm with you. Like there are some remakes like where I'm like this is my hot take, my controversial one. I think a lot of people will be disappointed in me. Suspiria. Really love the original. I think the remake's better. And I know a lot of people like feel mixed about mixed to negative about that, but I think the remake is just incredible. Um, and all
No,
the
I
Argento
mean,
fans are gonna hate on me for that, but yeah.
no, I mean, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of remakes that are better than the original, honestly. So
Yeah. Yeah,
a lot of
absolutely.
a couple of the remakes that Wes Craven made, I think the remakes are better. So
I
like
would
in the
agree
like
actually. Yeah. I would
yeah,
agree,
like
yeah.
the Hills Have Eyes and The Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
Not great movies in my opinion. Like I used to really like The Hills Have Eyes. Like a few years ago, I was like really into that movie, and then I watched it again recently, and I was like, I don't know. The more I watch this, it's starting to lose its appeal because I distinctly remember, I think I had picked The Hills Have Eyes, like the original, for like a podcast on Elm Street episode when I was still friends with them.
Yeah.
And they were like, we didn't like this movie. And I was like, oh, really? That's a bummer. Oh, and then I watched it again and I was like, no, makes sense.
It's funny how like tastes change. Like there's
Yeah.
some things that like you'll defend to the end no matter how bad it is, and there are others where you're like, oh yeah, I was wrong on this one. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
swing
Yeah.
and a miss on that one. You mentioned
Damn.
our buddy Tyler before. Did you see he dropped a trailer today?
I did. I have not watched it yet because I don't know. I just have been kind of busy today, so I didn't get the chance to watch it. But I'm like I'm kind of like I guess I'm just kind of blue balling myself at the same time. I'm like I want to watch it, but I want to like keep myself on suspense just a little bit longer. I don't know
Mm.
why I'm
Well, it's
torturing
not. It's
myself that
it's
way,
not for
but
it's not for Scream. It's for a different thing.
oh no, I know,
Okay, cool. No, that's okay.
I know,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think he wrote this one. I don't think he directed, but he wrote it. But it looks cool.
mm,
I sent him.
yeah.
I shouted it out when I saw it, and he messaged me. He goes, "I promise you, Scream's coming out this year." I was like, "It's cool. Like it's all good."
Get it out when you can,
Yeah.
friend. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Scream, I believe you had some. You want to talk about the Scream news because there's been a bit of a development since we last spoke about Scream.
Yeah, and I want to since we're I guess we should preface we're not doing a like, since it is the We Love Horror podcast, it's funny that we're not doing like a horror type of episode today, because I did reach out to you when you had like when we had talked about working together again, and I was like, I don't know, like I kind of want to, because I kind of feel like people think that that's because a lot of people are surprised when I like talk about other movies that aren't horror. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, you don't like just horror?" I'm like, "No, I have many other interests." So I think when I came onto your show for this episode, I was like, I kind of want to do what I did last time, where I don't talk about horror movies, where I talk about like the complete opposite.
No,
So
and
yeah, that's why we're not.
I was very thrilled by that because obviously like the go-to is horror, and the only thing I was like, well, we do have a whole list of horror films we need to talk about still, but we can save that for this Halloween. We can do the Sorcerer's Apprentice Part 2 a year later.
Yeah,
But
yeah, exactly.
we're going to focus on another word from the title of your podcast. Um, it's all about
Yes.
urine today. No, we're
Oh
talking
God, no.
about best urine.
Silly old me. Come
We're going to
on.
be talking about love. Um,
Yeah.
but before we jump into that, you did want to talk about some horror stuff quickly, which I'm totally fine with.
I did, because like I don't feel like I've really gotten to really talk to too many people about like the Scream 6 stuff. And so I kind of wanted to see what your thoughts were and talk about it. But like, how do you feel about like now Nev Campbell's coming back, Courtney Cox is coming back? I think I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he
They
plays
mentioned Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's confirmed to be coming back now. I think that was like something that just happened.
Well, he
And
wasn't.
then Kevin,
This would be his first Scream film, wouldn't it? Because he was in Thanksgiving last year.
yes, yeah. So this
He's
would be his, yeah, I
yeah,
think.
yes. I don't think he's been in a Scream film before.
No, he was in 3. He played Detective Kincaid in 3.
Oh, was he really? Three is one of your favorites, and I haven't watched three enough.
Wow, James.
At least I admit it.
Just kidding.
I completely forgot. Um, and Kevin Williamson directing, which you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Look, I have very mixed feelings. All of those announcements, I am totally on board with. Like, I didn't miss Nev Campbell as much as I thought I would in six. I actually rewatched
Yeah.
five and six earlier this year, and really, I think they work really well as a double feature. I know a lot of people have issues with five, but I think as a double feature, they play really well. Because it's an extension of the same story.
Yeah.
So I didn't miss Nev as much as I thought I would, but I am glad to have her back. Courtney Cox, obviously, we need Gail Weathers every single day.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah. But it also makes me nervous that they're bringing her back, because I'm like, are you going to try to kill her this time? Is she going to die this time? That's always makes me nervous when she signs on to another
yeah.
Scream movie. I'm like, do not kill Gale Weathers, please. Do not. Do not do it. Don't do it. But
Yeah, there is that as well, I guess. I'm cool with. I've got to rewatch three now, and even though I watched three last year, I watched 300 and something movies last year, and I'm already up. I'm on my 99th film at the moment, actually, for the year, so I'm blazing through movies. So I got to go
yeah.
back and watch Scream 3. But I love Patrick Dempsey in Thanksgiving, so I'm glad he's kind of got a taste for horror.
Yeah.
And Kevin Williamson, I think, is a great call as well. I didn't watch. Was it Sick that he directed last year or the year
No,
before?
he wrote Sick. The only movie that Kevin Williamson, to my knowledge, has ever directed was Teaching Mrs. Tingle, I think is what that movie's called. And that's
Oh,
like
okay,
from
with
like
Katie Holmes.
97 or 98 or something
Yeah.
like that. And
Okay.
I think that was like the only movie he ever directed, because he always had said that directing was not his thing. Like he was
Mm.
always wanting, like he always was the writer. So I've heard a lot of people say that they're kind of confused by the choice of Kevin Williamson directing. And I'm like, well, that was also, he made that statement like over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and he's been, I mean, in dozens and dozens of other productions now. So I'm sure maybe his ideas about directing have changed. Like I'm personally, if you want my opinion, I'm really stoked that he's directing, because I think if as far as like anyone else besides Wes Craven, I think he knows this franchise more than anybody else. Like if Wes
Absolutely.
Craven, like since Wes Craven is no longer here, he passed away sadly. I think the next person in line to direct would be him. Personally, if we're gonna have
Mm.
anybody direct that knows the franchise inside and out, it's Kevin Williamson. Come on,
Yeah,
like
no, I agree. I think he's a really good call for it. Yeah, I'm on board with all that. I'm really excited about that news. However, I do
yeah,
feel like part of it is damage control by Spyglass. Like they
one
s-
hundred
like they
percent.
stuffed up like they stuffed up everything with like Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega. They lost the directors, Radio Silence. So I think like they're like, "Oh, we fixed the Nev Campbell problem. We're gonna give her the money, and look, it's Kevin Williamson, and oh, look, it's Gale." And like, like I think they're just like, I think they were kind of crapping their dacks for a moment, being like, sorry, pooping their pants. There's a very Australian term there. I think they were just like, we've really stuffed up. We need to get things back on track. What will the fans love? Oh, everyone you love from the '90s, it's back. Like,
Which it's like I didn't know how to feel about it at first. Like I still don't know fully how to feel about it. Because on one hand, I'm like really, really excited and happy. Like I can't help but be excited and happy that,
mm,
you know, one, we're getting another Scream film, like which I was afraid because with all this shit happening, I was like, okay, well, I guess we're never getting another Scream film again, at least not
mm,
anytime soon. Like I didn't think that we were gonna get one anytime soon with all this shit that was going on. I was like, okay, it's probably gonna be another maybe 5, 10 years before we get another Scream film with all this stuff that's going on. And then it was announced that, Nev Campbell's coming back, which I am excited about. I am excited that, Gail, like Courtney Cox is back. I'm excited that because to be honest with you, if you want my opinion, this is going to
I
be
love
very
your opinion.
unpopular. Okay. It's going to be very unpopular though, so maybe your listeners won't like it. When I heard that Christopher Landon was going to be directing the new Scream film, I wasn't as excited about it as other people. Like I think he's a fantastic director, don't get me
What's he
wrong.
done
Like I
again? I just can't remember off the top of my head.
he's done Happy Death Day.
Oh yeah,
He's done Freaky. I can't think of what else he's done. I know he's done a lot
I
of other
love
things.
both of those films. However, tonally, don't know if he's right for Scream.
Exactly. And see, so like I wasn't like super on board with that choice of director. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna quite get the seriousness. Like I'm sure he'll probably get like the comedic, like meta aspect of it down perfectly. But it was kind of like the same feelings that I had when David Gordon Green was announced to direct the Halloween trilogy. I was kind of like, oh, okay. Also, my opinions about that have slightly changed. I don't think the Halloween trilogy is as bad as I initially thought. I still think it has a lot of issues, but I'm a lot more lenient on it now. So,
You're coming over to
it's,
the dark side or the light side, I guess. Where it's like everything's
well,
great, guys.
I mean, I'm one of the people that's on a very small island of people that actually genuinely enjoyed Halloween Ends. I think that movie is really
Mm,
great. So,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
love it as well. Yeah, I love that
I was
trilogy.
eventually going to come around eventually, I'm sure.
Mm.
So, but I think the main reason why I wanted to bring this whole thing up to you is because I want to hear your thoughts first and foremost, but I also kind of wanted to discuss like how toxic people are being about it because I think it's like people are going after Nev Campbell now in such a way that I'm like, okay, you guys need to calm the fuck down because this is
Yeah,
ridiculous. Like she is not the problem. The problem here is Spyglass, and I personally think like here's the thing. And somebody said, I don't remember who said it. I think it was on like a video that I was watching on YouTube. Like it was another YouTuber discussing like the whole update and the drama stuff. They mentioned like a very important point that I was like, true, accurate. They were like, nobody made a huge fuss when Nev Campbell left, but Melissa Barrera and them stick around and still made six. Nobody made a
yeah,
fuss about that. But now all of a sudden that like Melissa Barrera is gone and Nev Campbell's coming back, everybody's giving Nev Campbell shit for not like supporting Melissa. And I'm like, how do you know that she didn't support Melissa? How do you know that a conversation did not go on behind the scenes with them
yeah.
talking to each other about it? I'm sure that happened. I
And
can guarantee you that probably happened.
even if it didn't, and this is going to sound very blunt, and this might not be the popular opinion. Nev Campbell doesn't owe Melissa Barrera anything. And I'm not
No.
being like a jerk about it. Like, and I don't think Nev Campbell would feel that way. But like, and this is the thing, like, it's called the movie business. And that's the thing you need to remember. Like, first and foremost, we love it as entertainment. It's it's our warm blanket, it's our comforter, that sort of thing. But the by and large, it's a business. It's about putting money in the pockets of people who run the studios. That's what it is. And Nev Campbell is a get. And Nev Campbell is safe because she's never said or done anything controversial. And whilst I think that the firing of Melissa Barrera was completely uncalled for, I think
Yeah.
like art and politics. Well, actually, art and politics do mix, but I think like studio decisions and politics don't mix. It's like, yeah, it's a very sticky situation, but it has nothing to do with Nev Campbell. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I don't, I'm not I love this community, and one thing I was shocked by when I started the podcast a few years ago and started the Instagram, and even meeting new people now. One thing I was shocked by is how supportive and how embracing, and how positive it's been, because all of my all my experience with the internet prior to that was just toxic fandom. Movie
Yeah.
fans can be fantastic, but there's a very loud portion of movie fans who are the reason why people don't want to make movies anymore and tell stories, and why people walk away from projects, because it's like, just because you have the internet and have a platform doesn't mean you need to use it all the time. And I don't know, it just bugs me, man. Like, that's why my
Right.
podcast has always been very much like, I love everything. And even if I don't love it, someone else loves it, and therefore it's fine. Like, it's
Yeah.
about putting a bit of positivity in the world, because like, I think, like, the thing I think of probably the most prevalent is the Kelly Marie Tran thing from Star Wars. So I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago, with the Ryan Johnson one, so Last Jedi, Episode 8, Kelly Marie
Mhm.
Tran was signed on, and she played a new character, and she was kind of the love interest for Finn, and like people like were so bigoted and racist and like horrible to her. And this kid, like, had she never been in a movie before? I don't think. It was like when her first role, she got into a Star Wars film. It's been like the coolest thing that ever happened to her. And instead, she goes online and like she's deleting all her social media accounts because she's being harassed. And it's like, if you don't like Star Wars, if you don't like that movie, that's fine. She had nothing to do with it. She read the
Yeah.
lines on a page that someone else wrote, that like Kathleen Kennedy at the head of Star like Lucasfilm approved. Like, if you want to hate on someone, and you shouldn't, but if you want to hate on the person who wrote it or hate on the person who okayed it, like, do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, plenty of actors and actresses I love, and I'm sure you feel the same way, have been in some pretty awful movies where I'm like, why would you do this? And at the end of the day, it's because it's a paycheck. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they got to work as well. Like, we've all done jobs we don't like. I did a couple of years at McDonald's down here. It wasn't my favorite job, but it paid the bills. We all do that, and actors are the same. They will take big look at Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is not a guy I was a huge fan of. He did all those Transformers films. He's done a lot of films where I'm like, why would you do that? But it's like, it pays
Yeah.
the bills. Kristen Stewart did those Twilight films, and everyone came down on her. Kristen Stewart is the smartest person in Hollywood. She was like, this is aimed at 12-year-old girls who are going to see this movie 4 or 5 times. I'm going to be a
I'm gonna make
billionaire,
millions.
and
Yeah,
then I can do
exactly.
Underwater. Then I can do Love Lies Bleeding, which I watched the other week. It's fantastic. And you can do all the art films and stuff like that. But it is a
Yeah.
business, and like, it's just so much easier. Like, it's funny. Like, a few years ago, back before the pandemic, I was very negative. Hence the origins of this podcast. And I used to have a Reddit account, and I would get into arguments with people online about film.
Oh, no. Were you an old internet troll?
No, I wasn't
Just
a
kidding.
troll. I wasn't. No,
Just
but I
kidding.
would. No, but I would get into arguments, and I would kind of like tear things. Like, why would you do that? And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I find it takes so much less effort, and it bugs me so much less to just do nothing. Like, there have been a
Right.
couple of times online where I've started to write a comment, even to defend something. I'm like, you know what? This is going to take me 5 minutes to write because I am old, and I'm going to have to articulate it, and I'm going to put all this effort in, and then I'm not going to change their mind. So why am I bothering? Like, I'm just wasting my breath here. Instead, I can just
Yeah.
not contribute to the conversation, let them hate, and move on, and I can just be positive about the things that I love and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of like, for an industry that I adore, for like something that has given me so much joy and has brought me so much comfort, and been there in my own times of mental health crises and things like that. The one thing that's so disappointing about it is that small portion of the fans. And because it's not most people, the majority of people watching movies aren't like that. But it's a
Right.
small, very vocal, loud portion who just can't shut up. It's all the people who are like, nobody asked for this. It's like, where.
Yeah. Well, and it's also just the fact that people, like, are unable to allow people to form their own opinions if they don't align with, certain people. Like, there was, I can't remember the page off the top of my head, I apologize, but I wanted to talk about this page for a second because there was a specific page that had made a post on Instagram. I think you might follow them as well. They're like a huge, like, Scream type of page that posts
Okay.
like Scream content, and they were talking about how, like, they were getting DMs from, like, Melissa Barrera fans that were just absolutely saying the most horrible things, and I'm just like, this is unreal.
Mm,
Like, granted, I stand with Melissa Barrera. Like, I don't agree with the fact that they fired her over saying something as simple as, maybe we shouldn't kill anybody. Maybe we should just,
yeah.
not support genocide, which I think is a belief that I personally hope everybody should value, is not supporting the slaughter of thousands and thousands of people. I would
Mm,
hope that was a general consensus amongst most normal people in this world, that that's not an okay thing to do. And that
mm,
was basically all she was saying. And then Spyglass fucking fired her. Personally, here's how I say it. I think Spyglass needs to be removed completely from the
Mm,
equation. I'm kind of well, honestly, I'm not really that shocked with the way that Hollywood is and the way that things are being revealed about Hollywood now. That I mean, I think we've all known all along, but it's like never any less shocking when you hear about some of the shit that goes on in Hollywood. It's like, oh my god. But then you think about it and you're like, no, that makes sense. It makes sense that Spyglass is continuing to be able to continue on with the Scream franchise because Hollywood's not going to do shit about it,
mm,
unfortunately. I wish that Spyglass would have nothing to do with this. I wish that they would just kind of disappear into irrelevance at this point because of what they've done. They basically fucked themselves, in my opinion.
mm.
But unfortunately, alas, that's not the case. And so, I mean, I will still be one of those people that is going to be in the seat for Scream 7. I just wish that it was a little bit different. So,
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still like nothing's been shot yet. There's still plenty of time for things to happen. But yeah, it's so funny how many people have an expert opinion on something they know nothing about.
yeah.
And I know that some people were surprised to hear me say this, but I was talking about Ezra Miller, I think, at the end of last year, because obviously Ezra Miller did some pretty heinous things. I don't think
Very problematic, yeah.
very problematic. But I was saying to someone, I think I was talking to my friend Nick, and I said, "Look, I certainly don't condone what Ezra Miller did, but a lot of us have experienced some sort of mental trauma in our time, but none of us have done it on a global scale with an audience of the world watching." And like with that in mind, so whilst I can't condone or endorse what was happening, like I don't think the external pressure of the media and everyone like constantly like focusing on it helped at all. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and from what I understand, like based on all accounts, like Ezra has seeked help and is working on themselves and trying to get better, and that's the most important thing. It's a shame that, not even a shame, it's horrible that with what happened, but
Yeah.
you know, like I even was talking about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. Like people like canceling that Aquaman film because Amber Heard was in it for like 2 minutes. It's like, what about the guy who has to light the sets to feed his family? Like you're canceling that film, like he didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong. And again, like that was a very public breakup that we'll never know the truth about. Like I don't know, like people just love to jump on something and tear it down without knowing the full story. That's why you'll never see me like really post about like gossip and stuff like that, because it's just, I don't know, it's just such a steep hill, and you never know what's
It
gonna happen.
is
Yeah.
yeah, it is a very treacherous path to take as far as, like, reporting on things that, like, you may have you may think you have most of the story, but, like, sometimes that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying with the whole, like, people who are attacking Nev now who are like, "Oh, now you're just money hungry, now you're just greedy because they finally agreed to pay you what you want and now you're in the movie." And at the at the I guess what's the word that I'm trying to think of? At the expense of Melissa Barrera now, people are blaming her and saying
Mm.
that she's like a sellout and that she's doing it for a paycheck and that well, of course she's fucking doing it for a paycheck. Like she obviously cares about the franchise, obviously, but give the woman what she deserves to be paid. This is the issue that we had with Scream 6.
And
She
that
should have been paid
we know she's doing it for paycheck because she didn't show up for 6 because of the paycheck.
exactly.
But that's
And
okay. Like
yeah,
if you work
I
in
don't know why that was an
insurance,
issue.
if you work in insurance, you've been doing it for 2 years, you haven't had a pay rise, you're not gonna like you're gonna ask for that pay rise. Say I've been here for a while, I'd like to get a pay rise. Oh well, shouldn't you do
Yeah.
insurance for the love of it, not for the paycheck? Like it just doesn't make sense. Like it's
Well,
so
that
dumb.
that's well, that's the thing. Like, she obviously clearly has love and passion for the franchise. Like, she's showing up to, signings. She's showing up to reunions. She's not just like completely disregarding it. But at the same time, I'm like, if I was Nev Campbell and I had been responsible for, keeping this franchise alive, and not saying that she's solely responsible, there's
Of
obviously other
course not,
people
but
involved, but she is the face of the franchise. She's the reason why so many people have come back to watch the Scream films, is
of
because
course.
Sydney Prescott is the final girl. I'm sorry. Like, and if I was Nev Campbell and I had been a part of this franchise for what, 20, 27 years now, I'd be like, yeah, cut me my fucking check and give me what I
Yeah.
deserve because I've been doing this for over 2 decades. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. Give me what I deserve to be paid for or I'm out. Like, I
100%,
would be the same
absolutely.
fucking w It is a job, like, she's getting paid to do what she needs to do. Like,
Mm.
it's her fucking livelihood. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
the fact that people were even saying she was money hungry back when Scream 6 was announced with her in it, like, they were saying that she's just mad because she didn't get paid. Yeah, I would be fucking mad too.
But also, like, you mentioned, like, she's the star, like, she's the investment. Like, if they put the money into her, more people are gonna come and see the franchise, come and see the film, and the film's gonna make more money, therefore we're getting more Scream films. It's like, if the conversation was about Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, like, "Oh, we're gonna make Iron Man 4, but we're gonna recast him because we don't wanna pay Robert Downey Jr." Do you think anyone's like, people are like, "Pay Robert Downey Jr. Like, he deserves it, he worked so hard." And it's like, yeah, he did, as did Nev Campbell. Like,
Yeah.
it's not up to us to decide, like, whether they're getting paid too much money. Because if you were in Nev Campbell's position, you wouldn't be sitting there like, "Oh no, I've eaten enough. It's okay. Like, don't even worry
Yeah.
about paying.
Yeah.
Don't worry about paying me for this film. Like, I've
I'll
really,
do it for free.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
no
no one's saying
worries.
that, and that's just like, it's just that kind of like subhumanoid mentality of people, but like, again, like these total armchair activists being like sitting there clicking away, being like, "Oh, if it was me, I wouldn't want the extra money." Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, I've been working in the same job for 3 years, and without going, giving I've never given away where I work anyway, but I've received a number of pay rises. That's not a brag,
Yeah.
but it's because my company knows that, like, I work hard, I put my head down, and to keep me happy and motivated and interested, that incentive will keep me going.
Yeah.
Like, I have a history of jumping jobs. Like, I will normally work a job maybe 2 years and then switch jobs because I like to keep things interesting. I've worked at this place for going on almost 4 years. That's the longest tenure I've had a job because I like the work. I like the people, but also
Yeah.
they see the value in me and keep me on. It's not being money hungry. It's being paid your worth. It's being valued. Do you know what I mean? Like, most
Yep.
people in everyday jobs can't have an army of Twitter or Instagram followers applauding them for all their wonderful traits, so they get rewarded by getting paid. But it's the same for
Yeah.
actors. It's crazy. Like, if it was Julia Roberts or something like that, like, you wouldn't hear so, like, no one would be saying it. Do you know what I mean? It's because this
Yeah.
whole film has been tied up in political stuff. They're making a case out of something that doesn't exist. Um,
Yeah. Well, and it also just
could you
like
imagine
just
if
going
you
back
asked that question? I was like, yeah, she shouldn't deserve a pay rise. That would have
Oh my
been-
god, yeah. Be like, "Okay, I have to go. I don't agree with that. I'm so sorry." But no, like, it brings me back to the whole, like, the fact that Melissa Barrera fans and, granted, I love Melissa Barrera. I think she was an integral and great addition to the Scream franchise. At the same time, if her story ends here, I'm also okay with that. I'm not okay with how it ended. Obviously, I don't support that in any way, shape, or form. But the way that 6 ended was a good bookend for her character, I feel like.
Mm,
I think it was. I think personally, if we don't get another Scream film, I would have been sad because I love the Scream films. I even said, like, I think it was my Oscars episode. If they keep making Scream films as good as they're making, they can make as many as they fucking want
yeah,
until,
absolutely.
but, like, I would be sad, but I wouldn't be like, I'd be like, "Okay, I think that was the way they ended 6 was a good way to end this Carpenter sister story." Her and Chad get together in the end. It's happily ever after for everybody. Mindy's alive, Kirby's alive. It's fine. Gail's alive. Everything's fine. Sydney's good. Whatever.
Yeah,
But, like, it's just the fact that, like, the world kept moving when Nev Campbell wasn't a part of it, when she wasn't
yeah,
getting paid the money she deserved. But now that Melissa Barrera is not in it, everybody expect the whole like most of the people some people expect the world to stop, like Nev Campbell not to do this movie because Melissa Barrera wasn't in it. I'm like, nobody stopped when Nev Campbell wasn't in it.
yeah,
So the Scream 6 still got made. So I don't see what's the difference here. It's kind of like people are being very what is the word? Hypocritical, it feels
yeah.
like. Like, I'm like,
And they're doing what humans have done since the beginning of time, where instead of blaming the person who's actually at fault, they're pitting two women against each other. Like, and
yeah,
that's the crazy, like, that's the dumbest thing about all of it. Like, it's like, yeah, it's just like, shut up, shut up. It's okay. Like, your opinion doesn't need to be voiced all the time. Also, if they don't resolve the Melissa Barrera thing now, you wait a couple of movies, she can be a surprise return in like Scream 9. Do you know what I mean? And like, she's the killer.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can do that. Like, it's not
Yeah.
over. Like, it's just cool it. Let the filmmakers deal with it. They'll figure it out. Hopefully they can bring her back. Um,
Right.
and if they don't,
Yeah.
you're right. Like, it was resolved pretty well.
I
They
thought
made
so.
they made the movie work without Nev Campbell. They made 4 movies without Melissa Barrera beforehand. I don't want her to lose a job. I think it's really frustrating that she lost the job the way she did. I don't think that should have happened. But at the same time, the Scream franchise was built on the backs of other people, and it will continue
Yeah.
with other people. Hopefully, she can come back. Would love to have her back. She's brilliant. If not,
Yeah.
like, it's
And
out of our hands. We can't do much
and
about it.
and also the other bright side to it is that this whole thing didn't seem to take a hit on Melissa Barrera's career at all. Like, she's coming out with the movie from Radio Silence. I'm really excited for that movie, by the way, that Abigail movie that's coming out.
Oh, is that
So
them?
stoked.
I gotta check that
So
out.
stoked for I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I'm so stoked for it because not only is she in it, but oh my gosh, what is her name? She's in Freaky, and then she was just in Lisa Frankenstein. I love her
Catherine
as an
Newton?
actress. Thank you. I love her. She's in it. Like,
She's brilliant. I first saw her in. Well, I
Paranormal
thought.
Activity 4.
No, I haven't seen
Oh,
Paranormal Activity 4.
because that's
I
what I remembered her from. I was like, oh shit, she's in that.
I think the first thing I saw her in was Blockers.
Oh,
Which
Cock Blockers. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really fun. I really liked her in that.
Sorry, you're like, I chose not to swear on the show, and now Michael's doing it
Well,
for
the
me.
movie's just
Sorry.
called Blockers. It's called Blockers.
Well, no, technically it's called Cock Blockers. It just has the picture
The
of
the picture of the
a
rooster. Yeah, that's fair enough.
yeah, yeah,
And then she keeps showing up in everything. Like, yeah, she was at Freaky. She's fantastic in. I really like her in that. She was
yeah.
in that Ant-Man movie, and then I've just been rewatching. Actually, this is going down a real geeky circle, but I've been rewatching the Detective Pikachu movie. She's in that. I'm like, oh my god, she's
Yeah.
everywhere. She's
She
great.
also has a small part in Lady Bird, in case anybody was didn't know that.
I don't know if we've talked about this because you mentioned Lady Bird the last.
You didn't really care for it the first time you watched it, right?
But I have since bought it. I haven't rewatched it yet, but it's in my collection now, so it's on the list to rewatch. So
Yeah, you got to watch it because
I've got it.
you know I love it. So
I take your opinions very seriously. I think it's down here behind me. Hang on.
if this was a coming my top 10 favorite yep, if this
Yeah,
was
there
my
you
top
go.
10 favorite coming of age episode, you bet your ass that would be like probably in my top 3.
Yeah, I am. I think I said to you when we talked about Lady Bird last time, the thing that really kind of turned me off was I wasn't a huge fan of Timothy Chalamet, but I've come around. I like Chalamet now. I saw him in. What did I watch him in that turned me around? I saw him in Wonka, and I thought he was good, but I don't think he was the right pick for that role.
Oh, I
But
disagree. I think, but then again, I'm not a huge like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, I've maybe seen the original one twice. I used to watch the Johnny Depp one all the time when I was growing up,
sure,
but like I don't have the attachment to that like movie franchise, whatever you want to call it, as other people do. I personally think he's great in the role. I
I
didn't have a
like.
problem. I
I
thought he was
thought
good.
he did the emotional stuff really well, but I felt like the wacky stuff was really forced. I just kind of felt like he was trying to be wacky, but then I saw him in
That's
Bones
fair.
and All, and I loved him in Bones and All. Um,
Yeah.
and then I just watched Dune Part Two over the weekend, and whilst I think that movie has some flaws that people aren't willing to admit, he was really good in it. So, uh,
Have you still not seen Call Me by Your Name yet? Because he's
no, I haven't. I've
that's
got to watch Call Me by Your Name. Yeah, I
that's the movie that turned me on to him in more ways than one. I'll admit. I mean,
director
one
of
he's
Suspiria as well.
yeah, one he's pretty hot in it, and two his acting is S tier acting in that movie. So
He's very pixie like. I feel like he needs to be playing like an elf or a pixie or something.
for
Um,
sure,
he's got
if they
very.
did a Peter Pan remake, he'd be perfect as Peter Pan.
Ooh, that'd be good actually. Yeah, or if they
Eh,
like, and I'm not saying they should do this, but if they ever wanted to redo Hook, like he could be Peter. Oh, actually, Peter Pan was quite old in that, wasn't he? Okay, Peter Pan just in general. You're right. They'll
yeah,
do it. They're doing live action remakes of everything in Disney. They'll remake it.
and they're most of them are fucking terrible. I mean, I haven't
Yeah.
seen most of them, but like, I refuse to watch The Little Mermaid for a very very large amount of reasons I won't watch that movie. I have never seen The Lion King for the same reason. There's
Well,
just
The
lots
Lion
of
King
things that
is
I'm
just
just like,
is just another animated film. It's just more realistic. It's still animated.
"Oh, but according to them, it's live action, it's not
Yeah, no, I know.
animated."
I know. I'm very
It's
aware.
but it's like, you do realize that this is computer generated, therefore it is animated.
Yeah, you didn't get
Just
real
because it
lions, guys.
just because it looks like real life doesn't mean it's real life, guys. I'm so sorry. And it doesn't even look I'm not gonna get
I
into it.
am
We're
looking forward
this
to, and I know I shouldn't look forward to it because I know I should be prepared for disappointment. But Guy Ritchie is doing Hercules, and I'm kind of buzzed for that. I think that's kind of a cool idea. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of into that. And I didn't mind Cruella. I didn't love Cruella. I think like
Oh, I love that actually.
yeah,
I love that
I
movie.
liked it. I think like because it was kind of released during the pandemic, it got a lot more. It was like you remember like remember Tiger King? Like it was like oh my god, Tiger King. I think Cruella got a
Yeah.
bit of that attitude as well, but I did like it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to think like if there's anything in particular. Like I didn't particularly like Beauty. Like again, I didn't dislike the films. I was just like they're fine. Like like you know,
Yeah.
like Aladdin. I I felt like everyone was not this is gonna sound weird for a Disney film. I felt like no one was gritty enough. Like everyone was very polished. I felt like they were on the set of like a Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
The only thing about Aladdin that I loved was I don't know if you've seen it, but in the third act they do something very different from the original movie, and that's that Iago turns into like a giant monster like dinosaur bird. I was like, yes, this is cool. I came here for
Yeah.
this. Make this the movie. Um,
Yeah. That's fair.
oh
Yeah.
my god, I feel like I had a question for you, and in true James and Michael fashion, we've just like gone down an insane rabbit hole. Uh,
Well, I think it was a very important discussion to talk about because like I said, I haven't been able to talk about this with too many people.
I'm glad you
Just
brought it up.
because
I literally thought you'd be like, "Hey, there's fun announcements." I didn't know we are going to get so serious about it, but you
sorry.
got me
Yeah.
like, no, it's good. Like, 'cause I'm generally pretty like happy-go-lucky and like, hey, it's all fun. But like, you saw me like get serious. So, it doesn't happen very
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, but I don't know. My whole point with that is like this whole thing has not affected Melissa Barrera's career by
Mm.
any means. She's still fucking coming out with movies. Like I think she has like 2 or 3 horror movies coming out just this year. Like
Nice,
so
man. Look,
she's
yeah,
doing great. So I don't know what people are like granted, like I said, I respect that people are upset about her being fired, which I completely 100% support. But
mm.
I will not support people attacking someone else for doing the same thing that essentially Melissa Barrera did last year with Scream 6. Like she didn't come out and say anything. I mean, she did, but she didn't come out and be like, I'm not going to be in Scream 6 because Nev Campbell isn't. Like
Yeah.
everybody in that cast kept going. Courtney Cox was in it. Nobody fucking gave her any shit about it, you know?
Mm.
So it's like, why is Nev Campbell the only one getting the fucking brunt of everybody's frustration now? It's just not fair and it's just bullshit. So
I feel like the only way, and this is me definitely playing to your weakness here, but I feel like the only way you're like Spyglass is forgiven if they're like, by the way, Jill's back. They're like, surprise, she was never dead. Like, and this is an old Jill movie. You're like, Spyglass forever.
bring her or Jennifer Jolie back and you've got me. I'm just kidding. No. But I also heard someone saw someone like put like Mia Goth as like a possible ghost face in Scream 7 and I said, "Yes, do it."
Yeah, but like they're just saying that because she does horror films. Like, like she's just like a
But she
scream queen.
would be a good villain though. She plays crazy very fucking well.
I feel like I don't know where you go with Scream 7 now. I guess like they can play on the whole return angle because almost every horror
Mhm.
franchise has like the return of Michael Myers, the return of Jason. So you could do the return of Sidney Prescott. So like that's the angle they could
Yeah.
play. But I think we were talking about this. Maybe I was talking about it with Tyler. I'm not sure when I interviewed him all those years ago now. But I feel like doing like a cult of Ghostface is like a cool like you don't like there's multiple killers and like maybe they're not even interconnected or maybe it's like almost like a Ghostface fan club and they've met online and like they go on Spreak. I don't know. Like, or you turn. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not as huge. I'm not as precious about the franchise as other people. So I'm sure everyone's like, I hate all of the things you're saying, but I feel like the next step is go bigger. Go like I don't know.
No, I mean, like, I think that was one of the original ideas for Scream 3 was there was gonna be, like, this huge cult thing, and I almost
Mm,
thought that they were gonna do it for 6, like, when they did the theater, like, the final,
that's so
um
cool.
when they were showing all the ghost faces coming out of nowhere, I said, "Okay, this is where they're going. There's gonna be, like, 6 of them now, because there were, like, there were the 2 at the beginning, Jason and whatever the other guy's fucking name is that was in the fridge. And then, you had 3 killers at the end. So I was like, holy shit, are we doing this? Are we actually doing the cult of Ghostface thing that everybody has been like predicting? And then they didn't. So I was like, okay, whatever. But I mean, that's still an option. So I like that you
What
brought that up because
what
that's
if they just film the table reads and then they're like, someone's coming to kill the actors. Like they just do it really low budget. Like, and Nev Campbell's like, check cashed. Like,
and it's like just like a shitty found footage
yeah.
movie with shaky cam.
And it's like designed to like anger the fans. Just like,
Oh my god. And then Nev Campbell just puts up a big middle finger at the end of the movie and she's like, I still got my check.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like they go into like the bathroom at one point and there's just like a toilet paper roll, just photos of Melissa Barrera. They're like really just like, I'm not anti Melissa Barrera, but they're just like
But they're
really
just
shoving it.
really sinking that
They're
in,
like,
yeah.
oh, you're gonna threaten us, are you? Okay, well, like, just,
Shit, man. That
oh
would,
man,
that would be interesting. I would love to see what the Melissa
that's
Barrera
my vision of
stands would have to
Scream
say about
Seven.
that.
No,
Yeah. No, I mean, I said it like a year ago that I was like, "Oh, I don't think we need Nev Campbell anymore." Like I was like one of those people that wasn't like super upset. Like granted, Scream 6 was definitely different without her, but I was like I was more than happy to continue like the franchise. If she didn't come back, I'd be like, "Okay, I think they ended her story perfectly in 5. It's fine." Like if she doesn't come back, then cool. But I am really excited that she's coming back now. So I'm stoked.
yeah, they have just announced that it's actually going to be directed by David Gordon Green, and it's the return of Corey Cunningham. Like,
Scream 7, The Return of Sidney Prescott
and
and
he
Corey
and he
Cunningham.
doesn't even wear the ghost face mask. Like he just goes kills people with ghost face, and then like
He
ghost.
they pull a scary movie where he's like, "Oh, wrong set." And then he
Yeah,
just like he's wearing the Michael Myers mask and he comes in and he starts attacking Sydney. He's like, "Oh wait, this isn't the right set.
yeah. Like
Sorry."
Ghostface just lives under a bridge for the whole film, and like Corey's going around.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
He falls in
Fuck.
love with Nev, and like they're gonna go, like, and
They're
Nev's
riding on
grandmother is in it. Like,
yeah. They're riding on a motorcycle with each other around Woodsboro. Yeah.
and then like at the
Jesus.
end of the film, as they're riding to sunset, he throws the ghost face mask, and like it zooms into the, into the screen as it goes to credits. Like,
Yeah.
guys, Hollywood, hire us. We've got ideas. We didn't
I don't
say
know
they
about
were
the
good, but
I don't know about those ideas, but fuck.
uh,
Anyway,
I
I'm
think
sorry. That was a long, long rabbit hole that your listeners probably didn't want to have to go down, but here we are.
I was just thinking about. I'm like, do my listeners care about any of these jokes that are very specifically designed for Michael? And the answer is, it doesn't matter, because it made you laugh.
The answer is they absolutely do because
Mm.
why wouldn't they?
I mean, it was pretty meta. Like, it was
Yeah.
pretty specific. So if you're still with us after that first hour, we are going to talk about not horror. Despite Michael proclaiming he wasn't here to talk about horror, we have spent about an hour talking about horror.
Yeah, I had to get it out of the way. I have
Yeah.
to, it's kind of a running joke on my podcast at this point. It's like if I'm not talking about The Grudge from 2004, I have to mention Taylor Swift. If I don't mention Taylor Swift, I have to mention The Grudge from 2004 at least once during my podcast. So, you know.
Speaking of Tay Swizz, she had I haven't watched it yet, but Eras has landed on Disney Plus, so I've got to go check that out. It is like 3 hours long,
It's
so um,
fantastic. It's worth every 3 hour. It's worth the 3 hours, I'm telling you.
I'm really keen to check it out. Like when it dropped, I was saying to my wife, I'm like, "Hey, don't watch it. We'll watch it together." And then like I had a bunch of podcasts back to back, and she's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do? Can I just watch it?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, just watch it. That's fine. No worries." So I will get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. I was counting down the days, and then when it dropped, I was like, "I'll get to it." Like, it just-
Yeah. Now I'm counting down the days to when she releases her newest album, which I'm so
what is it?
freaking stoked about.
The Sad Poets Club or something?
The
Like,
Tortured Poets Department.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, thanks, James. You really.
I'm ready to have my heart ripped out and stomped on. So, because I think this is going to be a very heartbreaking album. But anyway. Enough about
What?
Tay Tay.
Maybe it's just maybe like she's doing a bait and switch into metal album. Like, she's like tortured,
Can you
and she's gonna
can
be like
you
screaming.
imagine?
I mean, I'm there for it. I've seen a couple of those like Taylor Swift metal mashups. They work really well.
Yeah.
And what's his name? I don't know if you saw this, but like the lead singer of Disturbed like came out and defended her recently because like I think like a little girl was noticing she was wearing a Taylor Swift audience. So they're like booing Taylor Swift, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "This chick is like in her 30s and she's got like 10 albums and like she's incredible." He goes, "If Taylor Swift ever wants to come and do a duet with us, like we will bring her on stage and like work with her. She's great." So,
Yeah.
um,
I would have just said, "I'm sorry." It wasn't cool 10 years ago when everyone was hating on her, and it's certainly not cool now. So I don't know
mm,
what kind of statement you think you're making by being like, "Oh, I'm so anti Taylor Swift." It's like you're just doing it for the clout. You're not that cool. Get out of
mm,
here. Sorry. I'm just like, so we're hating on her because she's successful. Like, she's like one of the least problematic people in Hollywood. If you want to talk about problematic people, she is not on that list, not even fucking by a mile. But for some reason,
no.
people have stuff to say about her all the time. I'm not going to get into it. I get heated and it's fine.
Well,
So,
my mum works. My mum, she works for a like a stadium here in Victoria.
mhm.
You probably would have seen it because there was this whole thing online. Like people in America were like, "There's a stadium in Australia that holds like 100,000 people." She works at that stadium, and
Ooh,
she worked the night that Taylor Swift played. And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I wouldn't have been able to fork out the money for it, but like that would have been cool. How was it? And she's like, "You know what? I was never really a Taylor Swift fan. I didn't really get it." And she's like, "I don't know if I still don't know if I get it, but like it was an incredible show." And I was like, "Here's the thing, like she's safe." And I don't mean that in like a diminutive way or like a critical way, but like she's a good role model. Like she goes out there, like she and by the way, there's nothing wrong with not being a good role model. Like I think like people need to step back as well. Like it's okay if Nicki Minaj wants to twerk up and down with her butt out. Like if that's what she wants to do and get paid to do it, like she is welcome to do that. Like just
yeah,
like how Nev is welcome to get paid her check. Like but like I think as we kind of progress forward and we become a more adult society, I feel like compared to when I was a kid, like the music and the movies and everything else and all the entertainment out there is a lot more grown up than it was when I was a kid. At least it's a lot more accessible. She's
definitely.
taking a different path, which is like, and like I know she doesn't, she curses and stuff like that, but not a lot. But she's got a very clean image and she's very wholesome, and like wickedly entertaining, like very relatable, and like unlike most musicians, is willing to reinvent herself again and again and again and again. And I didn't even realize that. Like 10 years ago, even long ago, I was one of those people. Like I never listened to a Taylor Swift song, but I was like, "Oh yeah, she sucks," because I was like into metal, and everyone else said she sucked. And then like I started listening to
Yeah,
when 1989 came out, I was like, "This is a really good pop album." Like, wow, Taylor Swift's changed. And then you and I've had conversations. Like in the last
yeah,
3 years, started listening to like Red, and I started listening. I'm like, oh, so she's always been good. Like I
yes,
just was, part of the wrong crowd. Like, um, and I was like, and like in the last 6 months, like my wife showed me The Man, and I was like, is this about what I think it's about? And she's like, what do you think it's about? I'm like, about how like she gets treated poorly because she's Taylor Swift and because she's a woman, but if she was a dude, like we'd all be fine. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay,
yep,
cool. Like, okay, look, I get it. I'm on the T train now. I get it. So, there you
yeah.
go. We got some Taylor Swift talk in, and you got like,
Yeah. Sorry,
uh,
listeners. Apologize for that. My
no, because
bad.
there's so little of it. So I'm sure like, oh, like something other than I can't Back to the Future, which James talks about a lot on the show. I haven't talked about Back to the Future recently, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well,
Which,
We love Taylor Swift, and we love horror,
yes.
and we love movies. So should we talk about some love? Um,
Absolutely. I'm so ready for this.
because yeah, you came to me and you said, "Look, I don't, I'd rather not do horror." Like, and I was like, "That's cool." Your initial proposal, and I felt so bad saying no to you, but I was just like, I just don't know what I would say. And you wanted to talk about that, do a whole episode on the Titanic, and I was like, I don't have access to that flick. Like, it's not available on streaming at the moment for me. I don't know if I have anything to add to the conversation beyond what you said the other day. I don't know if I could sustain a whole episode, but I was like, here are some
Yeah.
alternatives. I was like, here are some things that we could do. Um,
Yeah.
and you mentioned coming of age films, and I'd just done one actually recently. Not like episode 69 was like my sex in movies episode, but we talked about coming of age movies and stuff as well. And I was like,
Yeah.
what about just like rom coms? Like, would you go for a rom com? And you were like, I love rom coms. I'm like, okay, well, why don't we do rom coms? Like, we haven't really done that on the show yet. So, and who better than a couple of butchmen like us to like really dive into the psychology of romantic comedies?
Nothing like one butch man. I wouldn't call myself butch. I'm
Oh,
I'm
me either.
pretty
Like,
oh man. The only thing butch about me is my facial hair. I've grown out a mustache now, so you
it's
know.
pretty killer, man. Like, you've been developing it for a while. I remember, and it was pretty early on in our friendship. Like, we've talked about this before, where like you're so like lovely and friendly and just want to be friends with people that sometimes like it can be a little bit disarming because you don't expect it. But like I remember like
Yeah.
one morning I just woke up because that's the other thing, like we obviously on different time zones. You'll text me and I'll wake up at 6 in the morning and you've been up for like, hours or whatever. And
Yeah.
like one day I just wake up to this photo and you're like, hey, I'm growing a mustache. What do you think? And I was like, it's 6 a.m. I have to process this. Hang on. Like,
Yeah. You're like,
but
I don't know
like,
what to think right now.
but it's like it always like it never ceases to amuse me, and I mean it in the most supportive, positive way. I'm just like, if Michael's texting me, it's gonna be great. Like, what's going on? But
Yeah.
it really is
Well,
coming. It's very
that's just the kind of friendship we have though. I just like send you
yeah,
random things now. I'm just like, what do you think about this? And what do
yeah.
you think about that? And you're like, yeah, sure. Okay, well, you work. Yeah.
Well, you also love to collaborate. 'Cause I remember like even very early on when we first started talking, you were like, "Hey, I wrote this review. Do you mind reading it?" And I was like, "Oh, sure, okay, yeah, I can read this review." And I remember, I don't think we'd even podcast at this stage. I think maybe I'd heard you interview Tyler and Harley, and I was really intimidated because I was like, man, like this guy's good. Like, I hope I'm better than this Midnight Terrors episode. Otherwise, like, I think and I listened to Midnight Terrors, like, they're really good as well. I was like, okay, I've got some work to put in. So we hadn't even met. I was very intimidated by you. And then I read that review. I was like, man, this guy's a good writer as well. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, can you not hog
Thank
all the
you.
talent? Like, um,
Oh man.
but you just like to collaborate. I've actually been writing something. I'll talk to you about it later. But for episode 100, I think I've told you a little bit that I'm working on something.
You
So I
have.
started writing that today. And it's very silly. But anyway,
I'm very
uh,
excited about it. I also have a writing project that I've been working on that I would like you to read as well because I want to know
oh,
your
nice.
opinion on it. So
I've read some of your other writing because
anyway,
yeah. Okay, okay, we're getting distracted. We're sharing the love, and that's what this episode's all about. It's all about love.
exactly.
So before we jump into our list, you mentioned that you're a big rom com fan. Have you always been a rom com fan, or like, um, was there a film that kind of changed it for you and might be on your list? So you might not want to talk about it yet, but like, was it always a genre that you kind of attracted you?
Yeah, because like I am such a girl. But first and foremost, I am like I'm a man, obviously. I identify as a man, but like I am such a hopeless romantic and I am a fucking slut for movies like rom-coms and like romantic dramas and stuff. Like a lot of people don't know that about me because a lot of people think that I'm just like only into horror and stuff like that, but like I have such an interest in like I mean granted like rom-coms like they're very far and few in between where they like don't follow the same formula. So like making this list first and foremost was very hard for me because I was like, oh my God, there's so many and there's so many good ones. And every time like I would put one on my list, I would think of another one that I did not think of. And I was like, shit, how am I gonna do this? Somehow I made a top 10 list that I'm happy with and I'm content with that I have not changed. But like for me, I've loved romantic comedies. I think it's nice to have like levity. And I think
Mm,
as unrealistic as some of these films are, like so you watch these movies and you're like, that would never happen in real life. It feels good to watch them. Like I get like a good feeling, like a feel good feeling when I watch these movies. And like to me, it just like I've always been that kind of person that's like from the age of 10 I was imagining what my wedding would be like. Like I'm like I
mm,
want these colors and I want this song to be my first dance and I want this blah blah blah. Like those are things I've thought about since I was like 10 years old. I'm a
yeah.
girl, I told you. So like these movies are no exception. Like I love romantic comedies. Like some of them are cheesy. Don't get me wrong, some of them are not, Oscar worthy cinema. But I love this genre. Like I just love it. I think it's
Nice.
fun. I think it's great. I think it makes me I think if it makes you feel good and it strikes you in like the feel goods, then I think it was a movie well worth watching. So,
Nice. Yeah. I always thought for the longest time that I wasn't a rom com fan. I think I've talked about one. I've probably talked about a lot of these films actually before, but there was a film particularly a few years ago that really was like, okay, this is like for me the definitive rom com. Now I dig it. Now I want to go back and watch more rom coms. So it kind of changed it for me. But I thought, yeah, I thought I wasn't really a fan, but I came up with my list surprisingly easily. Like I said, top five, and you're like, can we do 10? I was like, let me see if I can swing 10, and I got to 12. I'm like, yeah, we can do 10. We surprisingly we can
Yeah.
do 10. I found the other ones very very quickly actually, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I quite like it as well. And like a lot of the movies on my list are going to be from the last kind of 20 years. A lot of them from the last decade, probably more recent stuff. Probably some a
Yeah.
little bit more adult, more raunchy because I really lean into the comedy side of it. Um,
Mhm.
there's going to be some cheesy ones on there as well. There's definitely going to be some eyebrow raisers. There are a couple of films on there that I know that I've had to defend. The people are like, really, um, but yeah, I really turns out I really dig them as well. So much so that I
Yeah.
went and saw. I was so excited to go and see Anyone But You in theaters. I was like, you know what, this was like a really fun rom com. It's not on my
Yeah.
list, but I will say I was shocked how well they pulled off the rom of it all. I was expecting comedy, but I wasn't expecting to buy into the love story as much as I did. So I have kind of turned around now. I'm like, oh, okay, like rom coms. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I was also very like picky with this list because I had some picks that were on this list that I was like, this is more of a chick flick. Because I think there's a difference between a chick flick and a romantic comedy. Like sometimes people put those together in the same
yeah,
category. And I don't think that's the same thing. I think rom coms are like can be completely different from chick flicks. Because like originally I had Bridesmaids on my list and I was like, that's not really a romantic comedy. That's more about their friendship. And
yeah,
like, yes, she's like, yes, her friend is getting married. And so there is like a bit of that like rom-com aspect, but it's not focusing on Lillian and her husband. It's focusing on Lillian and her best friend. So there were a couple of these movies that I was like, originally I had them on my list and I was like, these aren't rom-coms. I'm taking them off because I was being very particular. So just going, I just want you to know going in that that was kind of my criteria for it. Like, I don't know if you did it any different, but like for me, I was just like, I'm doing like strictly rom-com where it like is focusing on a couple and their relationship kind of thing. So
I'm looking at my list, and there are probably I would say that there are one, two, three that people might kind of question. But I think that whilst they might not fall definitively under the branch of rom com, they are love stories, and they are funny. So like they
yeah.
might not be like so like. There's one big one in particular where I think a lot of people are like, really? I don't know if I would call that a rom com, but I'm like, well, and I'll justify it at the time. I'll explain my reason behind it. But it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter how other people interpret them. It's about how we feel about them, right?
Exactly.
And we clearly love them. I'm going to throw the word love in as much as possible. Um, why don't we start with you? You're the guest. What's number 10 on your list? I know I should say this. I don't know if mine's in a particular order. I tried to get as close as possible, but I rewatched a few of these this week. I'm like, oh man, like they might have to go higher. I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah.
and I've actually watched, I'm not even kidding, wasn't planned because we only decided this a couple of weeks ago. One, two, three, four, five. I've watched 6 of the 10 in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Uh, so there you go. Anyway, I interrupted you after asking you to tell me number 10. What
You're
is your
good.
number 10?
Well, before that, do you mind if I run to the restroom real quick and pee? I'm so sorry.
Yes, that is a
Okay.
really good segue. I will pause it, and I'll see you in a second.
Perfect. Perfect.
Alrighty, we just had a quick little break there. But we're ready to go. We're ready to talk the love, as I mentioned before. I'm going to keep dropping that word as much as possible. Um,
Yeah.
Also, if you notice, I don't know if you noticed, I've been fidgeting a lot. My daughter painted my nails today. I've never had my nails painted before in my life, and I
Ooh,
hate it.
show 'em. Show the
Uh,
camera,
no, you
girl.
can't see them anymore. Like all the glitters come off because I can't stand the feeling of it. I'm a
Oh,
real
is that you were picking them, huh? Yeah,
yeah. I'm a real neat freak, and like I don't like my hands being dirty and stuff like that. And it just feels like there's glue all over them. So,
that's
if my
fair.
daughters listen to this in the future, I apologize, kiddo. I love you, but at least
I
I
too.
I did not even hesitate when she asked. I'm like, go for it, do it, kiddo, do what makes you
Yeah,
happy. So,
yeah.
but now that she's asleep, I'm like, let's get rid of this.
I too cannot handle my hands being dirty. Like it's just a thing that
Mm,
I do not like it.
mm.
I don't even like eating food and getting my hands dirty. Like when people are eating like ribs and shit and their hands are just
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
no, I'm not big on that. I don't do it so much anymore, but there was a period of my life where I would eat pizza with a knife and fork. Which I know is
yeah,
insane. I know it's insane. Like I've gotten a little bit better with that. Um,
I get it
alrighty.
though.
They're
Okay,
like, oh
anyway.
my god,
Woo.
like toilet paper jokes, like pizza with knife and fork. When are you gonna talk
You
about
might wanna you
movies?
might wanna you might wanna put a timestamp in here on your podcast that says, "Fast forward if you don't wanna listen to the first hour of this podcast and
Yeah.
feel to."
the
Yeah, just mo
episode the episode begins properly at 3 hours and 16 minutes. Uh,
Exactly, yeah.
we only had half
Man.
an hour to talk about movies because we got too into our own conversation.
Yeah,
Alrighty, I'm excited, and I'll be interested to
me
see if
too.
I've watched some of the films on your list. I must have watched a couple at least, I reckon. But if
Yeah.
not, I'll just let you wax poetic as you always do. What is number 10?
Okay, so number 10 is going to be The Breakup with, Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn. This movie, I think, came out in 2006, I believe. It was either 2006 or 2005, so it's a very early 2000s movie.
I remember I
Um,
haven't I haven't seen it, but I remember it was crazy because I think she'd just broken up with someone, and they're like, Jennifer Aniston shows her butt in a new movie, and like that was the like her revenge, and I was like, all right,
yeah.
but
Yeah. She does show her butt, and it's, I mean, from a gay man's perspective who doesn't normally look at the woman physique and, is like, "Oh, I mean, she has a nice butt and a nice
yeah,
body," so I will say that. Um, but basically, this movie is about exactly what, the title tells you. It's about a couple that's been together, maybe together a little too comfortably for a little too long, at least as far as like Vince Vaughn's character goes. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have it at the very bottom of my list is like I love this movie. Like I grew up watching this movie. Me and my best friend, like we quote this movie to each other at random times. Like there's a specific dinner scene in this movie. If you know it, if you've seen it, kind of thing. And we quote it to each other all the time. We're like tank, tank, and tank, 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 and tank. It's like we'll just randomly just like go into like this like a song and dance type thing from this movie. So it's very iconic to me. Like it's and I really like the dynamic. Like I like the, it's kind of like, are you on her side? Are you on his side? Like, and I like how it kind of explores both dynamics and how like they're both kind of wrong for some of the things that they do. Like they
mm.
both equally contribute to the inevitable, spoiler alert, this movie's almost 20 years old. If you haven't seen it, then I don't know what to tell you, but inevitably like they break up. And I kind of like that is like the ending to this movie. Cause like normally rom-coms, sometimes these movies tie it with a nice little bow and the couple ends up like working everything out and they get happily together again. Or, this movie does not do that. They stay broken up. And I mean,
Wow,
there is
okay,
like, yeah, and there like is like a nice little ending scene with them where they kind of like run
Extu-
into each other
okay.
like like it's like a year later or something like that. They run into each other again. And it kind of leaves you with the possibility that they could rekindle things, but it never tells you. It kind of just leaves
I
it.
was gonna ask, is there like like there's an exchange of a glance and like some hopeful music as it ends? So like,
There
oh
is.
hey,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
remember when? And then like credits,
Kind
like
of.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. But like I really love this movie for that reason. Like I really like that it explores both kind of like dynamics. Like some of the things she's doing is equally contributing to the breakup and he's contributing to it. And they're both trying to like make each other jealous, but inevitably it just like ends up blowing up in their faces. So it's an
Mm,
interesting dynamic. I will say this movie does kind of falter in enjoyment for me the more I watch it. Like this is a movie I can watch from time to time, and I don't mean any hate towards Vince Vaughn as an actor, but Vince Vaughn for me kind of falls into that category of like, oh, I'm just going to play a douche in every single movie that I'm in. Like most of the movies
yeah,
that Vince Vaughn is in, he's kind of a character actor where he plays the same character over and over again, which was so nice when I saw Freaky. Like it was such like a
yeah. He's
different,
so good in Freaky.
yeah, it was such a different side of Vince Vaughn that I'd never seen before because I'm used to like that, like, oh, I'm just gonna be like a douchebag and I'm gonna, yell and scream and that's my only. And he does kind of that in this movie where his character is just very like douchey. Like he like I'm definitely more on Jennifer Aniston's side in this movie
Mm,
than I am with him. I mean, like I said, they both equally contribute in their own ways to like toxic things, but like I definitely lean more towards being on her side because like he's just kind of scummy. He's very sleazy in some parts. Like
yeah.
he takes her for granted. Like there's this huge fight at this like towards the start of the movie, which is great. I think this fight is so good. It's still one of my favorite fights of all time. But like his character in the movie, it just makes the movie less enjoyable the more I watch it. And I think
Yeah.
that's why it's so far down on my list is like I still love this movie. This movie is one of those I know it kind of sounds weird for me to say it's like a feel good movie because it's like they break up. So it's like kind of bittersweet and it's kind of sad, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I like this movie. It feels familiar. I put it on sometimes and I know every line, I know every scene as it's going to happen. So for me, it's like a feel good type of movie, as weird as it is to say that with this kind of film. But yeah, that's going to be my number 10 is The Breakup. So
Nice. I haven't checked it out, but like you're definitely selling me on it, and I get what you mean by Vince Vaughn. Like he does. I don't think it's a criticism. Like, he gets typecast. He can play sarcastic very well, like that's kind of his trademark. Like, I remember the first time I watched Dodgeball, which is a really funny film, but I'm like, he's supposed
yeah.
to be the good guy, but he's so sarcastic. I'm like, is he the good guy? The way he talks.
He's kind of an asshole in that movie, to be honest. Like the first half of the movie, I'm like, ew, this guy is like so unlikable. Why are we
Yeah.
rooting for him right now? Like, why do we care what happens to him in his stupid ass gym? I don't care.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, but no, nice one. I think like it's funny, like because you mentioned that it's comforting and it is heartwarming, even though it's about breakup. But like statistically, and I don't want to become a downer, but statistically, the majority of relationships we're all in will end in a breakup. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So I think like the familiarity of that, I'm like, oh, even like celebrities, they're just like us. Like they have breakups too. Like that might be
Yeah.
part of it. Like the pretty people also break up.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, I'm glad I didn't forget this point because I wanted to bring this point up too. I feel like because as I said before when we got into this, like I feel like some rom-coms kind of go to very outlandish places where you're like, this would never happen. This movie feels very grounded. It feels very realistic in like the arguments that they have, the emotions that they show towards each other. It feels very real, like as opposed to like a rom-com that's like over the top and like, there's nothing wrong with that, but like sometimes I just prefer a rom-com that feels more like real life where it's
Mm,
like, "Oh, I can relate to this, like, I can relate to these characters." That's what this movie does really well. Like, it makes, like, characters and, like, situations very realistic to the point where you don't feel like you're getting taken out of this moment
mm.
because it's something outlandish and crazy is happening. This movie stays very grounded the whole time, and I really like that, so
Yeah. No, nice. I gotta check it out. And I reckon, look, I've been doing a lot of thrifting lately. I reckon I've seen it at the thrift store before. So maybe next time I'm down, I'll just have to go break up because they've given me a positive review on it. I can justify picking it up, so I'll check it out.
I can't believe you've never seen it. I
Well,
can't
when
believe
it
this is a
came,
movie you've never seen.
well, it came out in like 2005, 2006. Like that was like that was when I was really into like indie film and cinema, and I was like, I don't have
That's
time for your
fair.
rom coms. Um,
Yeah.
and but like ironically, I'm about to start my list with a film from that time, and is
Yeah.
arguably the biggest eye rolly cheesy rom com of all time. And it's Love Actually. I think Love Actually is brilliant. Um, it's it kind of unfortunately set off this trend of like every year we're gonna do a big ensemble romance film. We're doing New Year's Eve. We're doing Valentine's Day. Like I haven't seen any of those ones, but Love Actually is the OG. I think it's an incredible cast. Like you've got you've got Colin Firth, who I can only describe as like a foppish male. Like he's always just like the heel. He's always getting like one upped and stuff like that. There's no exception here, but he's so charming in it. You've got Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson, who are like two like dynamic, like powerhouse actors who have done some of the most incredible performances you've ever seen, and they're like playing like a married couple who are breaking up, like just talking about what you're talking about, and it's so realistic and like it's full of suspicion and it's heartbreaking, but also they find ways for it to be sweet and funny as well. Um, you got Liam Neeson playing this grieving father, like the only time Liam Neeson's not been like an action star from the sounds of it. And he's
Yeah.
like mentoring his like adopted son who's also fallen in love. That kid, by the way, still looks the same 20 years later. He still looks like a child.
I
Um,
know.
it's just,
It's the same thing that I was saying about Anne Hathaway because I just watched while I was waiting for us to record, I actually watched The Devil Wears Prada tonight.
oh,
And I was
nice.
like, and then I watched an interview that Anne Hathaway did recently, and I'm like, this bitch has not aged a fucking day. She
Mm,
looks literally like she did in 2005. It's insane. And then I saw someone like on a comment on one of like someone else said that, and they're like, "Well, that's what happens when you're a non-problematic person in Hollywood. You have nothing to stress about. So
Yeah.
no stress wrinkles or eye bags here."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Anyway,
um, so I just love it. I think it's like I think it's so wonderfully British, like it is kind of like the epitome of all those British comedies, like Hugh Grant's in it playing the Prime Minister, and he's like very charming and silly, but then he has that great speech where like he stands up for his secretary in front of Billy Bob Thornton, who's the president. Um, You've got Rowan Atkinson playing like the department store clerk. He's only in one scene and he's hilarious the entire time. I just think it's like everything we love about romance is in this movie. Like it's cheesy and over the top and ridiculous and has big like musical score and like cheesy romantic songs, but it's such a comfort film for me, and it's set at Christmas, so like you get the one-two punch
yeah,
of being a rom-com and a Christmas movie. Bill Nye as the aging rock star is hilarious. Like it's I don't know, like I've probably watched Love Actually 50 times. Like there was a period of time when it came out, my mum had it on VHS, and it was like one of three VHSs she had. So if I forgot to bring my DVDs, like we would just watch Love Actually all weekend, like every single night. So like my
yeah,
brother and I became obsessed with the first 5 minutes because that's when he just starts like cursing his head off while singing the love song. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's such a the only reason it's not higher is it is so cheesy and so familiar, and like I think there are probably films that affect me more, but I think as far as like kind of that comforting like warm blanket of a movie, I can just pop it on. I know every beat of it. It's so much fun. And I didn't even talk about Martin Freeman. He's like in like all the weird sex scenes with the blonde girl. Um Andrew Lincoln, who went on to be in Walking Dead, like he's stalking Keira Knightley. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's look, it's problematic at times, but it was 2003, and it's mostly charming. Um, I I love it actually. There you go.
Good pun.
Zing!
Love that.
You can't stop me from punning around. Yeah.
That's very interesting that you bring that up because I was talking about how you've never seen The Breakup. I have actually never seen Love Actually, so that's a
Oh,
movie that I
really?
guess I need to watch now that you've recommended it. So I don't know. I guess that movie just was like I saw the premise of that movie and I saw the cover and I was just like, I don't know if I'm into this one. I think I
Look,
passed. I think I looked. I think I overlooked it a little bit. So
it's very cheesy, and like most people I know who like that movie are women. I don't know a lot of guys who like it. Like I remember when I worked in a DVD store, I was telling them, I'm like, Love Actually best rom com, and all the guys are like, what are you talking about? Like that's garbage. I'm like, no, it's not. I love it. Um, but I don't know. I think I really dig it. I don't know if you'll like it, but it's worth a go. Like if you hate it after 10 minutes, you can turn it off. You're fine. Um,
yeah,
I didn't make it, Michael, so I won't be offended. Um,
true, true.
uh,
All right, great pick
Interesting.
though.
There you go. Number nine. What is up on number nine?
So so my number 9 is another film that I feel like does a really good job with grounding things in reality. I mean, there are some things that are a little cheesy and like over, over dramatic, but this movie is called Life as We Know It. It has Josh
Josh
Duhamel. I
Duhamel,
can
the guy
thank
from
you.
Las Vegas.
Mhm.
Yep,
Hottie McHottie, yeah.
he
And
is a
it also
babe.
has
Yeah.
he is, and he has Katherine Heigl's also in it, which I don't care what people say about Katherine Heigl. I think she's a great actress, and I like her a lot. And I think a lot of the shit that came out about her was because she was a woman. It was to me, not to get like into like the political shit again, but like I feel like a lot of her situation was the same stuff that people were saying about Megan Fox, that she was problematic, that she was hard to deal with on set. And then like you hear Katherine Heigl talk about it, and she was like, I was just voicing my concerns about things, and I was disagreeing with certain things that were happening, and apparently
Mm.
people thought I was being problematic. Anyway, I
I don't
like
know too
Katherine
much.
Heigl.
I don't know much too much about. I never had a problem with her. I'd heard rumors and stuff like that, but I mean, you heard me go on for about an hour before about like how I feel about that sort of stuff. But I've only
Yeah.
seen her in a couple of things. Obviously, Knocked Up probably being the most famous thing she's been in for me. But
Yeah.
I remember when Grey's Anatomy came out 40 years ago, because
40 years
that's how many
ago.
seasons there are now. And like in the first season, like she had such a such an affecting performance on me because she was kind of like viewed as like, oh, she's the blonde girl, she's like the cutie or whatever. Like she can't be a doctor. And then I was like, she used to be a model or something like that. And then there's that very like, powerful scene where she literally like strips down into like her underwear and she's like, look, just look at me and like get over it. Like I'm here to do the same job you are. And it was so like I'd never seen anything like that on TV before. I'm like, I like this girl. Like she's a great actor.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I haven't really seen her much since, and I haven't seen Life as We Know It. So I apologize in advance.
No, this is another great movie that I feel like you need to add to your list because like it starts out with her and Josh going on like a blind date that her friends set them up on. Like her best friend, I think it's her best friend from college and his best friend set them up together on a date. It goes horribly wrong. They despise each other. And then like you kind of fast forward to like I think like 2 or 3 years later, and the two people that hooked them up are now married,
Mm,
and so they're kind of forced to interact with each other. Like you get like kind of like this montage of them having to interact with each other through like their friend's child's like first birthday and get and like and getting married and stuff, and they're at each other's wedding, and it's so funny. And then like it kind of takes like a really kind of sad note because then the
I remember from the
two,
trailer. Yeah.
yeah, they end up getting into a car accident. So then they are basically forced together because their two friends left them as the godparents to take care of the child that is now an orphan.
Mm.
So then it's about them like moving into their best friend's house and like trying to get along with each other. And then inevitably, like a romance begins to form. And it's just a really fun movie. I really like it. I think it's like it has really fun performances from everybody. I think the story is really interesting and different from a lot of like rom-coms that were coming out at that time. Like I feel like, in the mid 2010s, even like like the late 2000s, like rom-coms were kind of becoming to like like everything was kind of the same. There wasn't a lot
Mm.
of different, I guess. I don't know, what am I trying to say? I guess I'm trying to say there wasn't a lot of diversity, at least in my opinion. I felt like a lot of the rom-coms that were coming out were kind of the same. And so
Yeah.
like this one kind of felt different and fresh compared to a lot of films that were coming out at that time. And yeah, I just really like it. I think the reason why it's not higher on my list is just because there's movies on this list that I enjoy watching a lot more than this one. But this one is definitely
It's
a fun watch.
it's got a pretty dark beginning, and I think that would probably impact it a little bit as well. Like it's hard to
Oh
feel
yeah.
good when you're like, oh, and then the child's parents were never seen again, and they're like
Yeah.
now fall in love. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it makes me cry every time I watch it. So,
I was gonna ask you about crying in these films because I imagine like there's definitely a bunch on these. Starting with my next one actually that I cry quite a bit in, so 'cause I'm a big movie crier, as you know. Um,
same.
but that you've sold me on that. That sounds cool. I think I've seen that at the thrift store as well. So next time I'm down there, I'm trying to go like once every couple of weeks. I'll pick up some of these romantic comedies you're recommending.
Yes, please, and let me know what you think when you watch them.
I always
So,
do. I actually, I won't talk about it now because we're going to get way off topic. But I watched a movie you told me about ages ago, uh, and do you recommend it? I didn't watch. I ended up watching it anyway, and I've got thoughts, but we'll talk about that another
what?
time.
Okay, well, at least tell me what movie it was.
It was The Sadness.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Probably
oh,
not for this
okay.
episode.
Yeah, yeah.
There wasn't a lot
Oh,
of rom or com in there. There was a little bit of com. There was more com than I was expecting, but it was mostly not. Um,
yeah, no. Yeah. But yeah, that was my number 9, Life as We Know It. So, James, what is your number 9?
Nice one. So this is my final British movie on the list. The rest are all Americano from here, but it's one more UK film, and it's actually a similar beginning to yours, not with parent death, but it's about like an unexpected blind date. It's Man Up. So I don't know if you've seen Man Up, but it stars Simon Pegg and Lake Bell.
Nope.
And Lake Bell is an American actress, but she plays a British person. Like she's a big voice actress, Lake Bell. And she does it like brilliantly. But basically, like there's this self-help book out at the moment. It's really big in the movie, and like everyone's reading on the train and stuff. And Lake Bell's very cynical. She's never had a good relationship, so she's kind of like, I don't need this. Like they gave me the self-help book. I think it's nonsense. And then she gets off the train and she bumps into Simon Pegg, who's waiting for a blind date. And because they're both carrying the book, he thinks that she's meant to be it. And so then they go on this date.
Oh,
She's like, I'll go on a date. Like I'll throw caution to the wind. And like he has this whole thing like planned out and stuff like that. But it's meant for this other woman. But then like through the course of an evening, like they start to kind of like find each other charming and alluring, and it's very wacky and silly, and it's this wonderful idea of like this man who has nothing left but hope. Like he's never really found love, so he's just clinging to this book and the ideals of hope. And like if I just keep trying, I'll find it. And this woman who has lost hope, and she's like, whatever, I'll just go on this whirlwind and see what happens. But I don't really believe in love. And them kind of finding this middle ground. And like it's got that very again British style sense of humor. There's also wacky stuff in there. Um, Flick made me cry at the end. Like just
Yeah.
like ball. And when I put it on, I'd had it for ages, and I'll finally watch Man Up. I only put it on expecting to watch half an hour. I like knocked out the whole 90 minutes. Like it just flew by for me. It's very very charming and sweet. I don't remember a lot about it, which is why it's not higher on my list. But I just remember I love Simon Pegg, like which I think is pretty apparent from this podcast. If you listened before, I just think he's such a versatile actor. Like he can do so many wonderful things. He can be like in Star Trek, and then do Shaun of the Dead, and then be in rom coms, and then like I just think he's very underrated. And Lake Bell,
Yeah.
I've always liked as a voice actress, but she's so wonderful in this as well. And it was just so unexpected. I just wasn't expecting it to be the charm factor that it was, and so sweet, whilst being very wickedly funny and silly as well. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about it, but I can 100% recommend to everyone. Like, you need to watch Man Up. It's a great rom com. And talking about it now makes me kind of want to watch it tonight. Maybe that'll be movie
It's
100. I'm not sure.
There you go. It's really weird because I've never heard of that movie. I know who Lake Bell is, but I've never heard of it. And now that you're explaining the premise, I think that's a really interesting premise. I kind of like it. The fact that
Yeah.
these two,
I don't know if you can see it there, but there it is.
I've never even seen the cover to that. That does not look familiar to me at all.
Well,
But I definitely,
it is a British production, so I think like it probably didn't play huge outside of the UK, like a lot of great British films. I just stumbled upon it at a Blu-ray store one day. And I was like, oh, Simon Pegg, $6, done. Like and
yeah,
then went from there. But no, it's wonderful. It's really good. And I'm always trying to shine a light on lesser known films. So yeah, I can 100% recommend it. It's beautiful.
nice. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that one out because I the premise was intriguing to me
Mm.
because it did feel a lot more different than other rom-coms. So
Yeah, it's
I feel like I'm
very.
always looking for rom-coms that like kind of are kind of follow the same cheesy
Mm.
ABCs of what rom-coms do, but also kind of have their own little flair and own little unique, I guess, vision.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's great. I think you would really like it. I think it's really well done. Um,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out then.
nice one. What's
But
number 8 for you, Michael?
my number 8 is a little film that came out in 2003, and it stars Ashton Kutcher and the late great Brittany Murphy,
Oh, is that?
which
Oh, I
I
think I know
love.
which one you're talking about. I haven't seen this one either, though. But yes, go on.
It's called Just Married.
Oh, I was just because I thought it was called "What Happens in Vegas," but yes, okay, I know which one you're talking
No,
about.
that's Cameron Diaz.
But it is Ashton Kutcher, isn't it?
It is Ashton Kutcher, and
Yeah,
Lake Bell is also in that movie
and I
in What
think the
Happens in
poster was
Vegas.
similar. Like both, I think it's him like carrying a girl on his hips or something like that. But yeah,
Yes, yes, exactly, yeah. Except I think he's holding Brittany Murphy like
yes,
he's holding, and Cameron Diaz is actually on his back. Yeah,
yes,
in
that's right.
the yeah. Mhm.
Oh, I love Brittany Murphy. I think she's such.
I
I was actually talking
know.
about her online with someone before. Like she's. Oh man. Oh
It's
man.
so sad. When I found out she died, I like cried for at least 2 days. And I was like
Mm,
I was really young when she passed away. Like I think I was like a freshman in high school, and I like that hit me hard because she is one like I watch her movies and like her interviews and stuff even today, and I'm just like, God, she had so much life left to live. Like
mm.
I can guarantee you she would still be an A-list celebrity today, like if she was
Oh,
still alive.
I've been saying whenever she comes up, the first thing I say to people is like, if she was still alive, she would have been Harley Quinn. Like 100%. She would have been perfect for that role.
Yeah.
Um, and like not saying like she could only do superhero stuff, but like when I think of that character visually, like I think of her performance in Sin City, I'm like that was the next step. Like she was,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Oh man, she was making me sad, man. She was so wonderful.
Yeah, I know, God. And she's so great in this movie too. She's fucking hilarious. Like, this movie is just so funny to me. Like, there's some things that haven't aged as well. For example, like their relationship is very fucking toxic in this movie,
Yep.
and it's not something that should be glamorized, I would say. And like, but there are some really fucking comedic things in this movie that make me laugh even still. So like basically it starts out with them kind of meeting at the beach, like he's playing football and she's like, I think she's like she's walking her dog or just walking by the beach and he accidentally throws a football and hits her in the head. And
That's great.
so
Like that's
yeah, so then he's like, taking care of her and they end up like meeting, getting together and hooking up, and she comes from a very rich family and
mm.
he does not. So it's like her family already does not approve of him kind of thing. It's kind of that storyline. And then they end up going on their honeymoon to Europe and there's just a whole bunch of funny shit that happens. Like they try to fuck on the plane and his foot gets stuck inside the toilet and the flight attendants trying to bang on the door and get them out and they end up like slamming against the door and breaking the flight attendant's nose, just stuff like that. And then, they're trying to plug in a sex toy at the hotel and you know how like the outlets in certain places aren't
Yeah.
the same. So he tries to and he ends up like blowing the entire power circuit to the hotel. So then they get kicked out of that hotel and then they end up going to like this roach motel. It's disgusting. So it's just all this shit that happens and then inevitably like their honeymoon basically is a huge disaster. It's almost like they're going to get, you know, divorced already before they're even married. And then, there's this like heartwarming speech by Ashton Kutcher that always makes me cry every time I watch it because I'm just such a fucking like romantic and it's just so nice. And it's a really funny movie. Like I said, it hasn't aged well with some of like the toxic elements. Like they're very oh, there's like a scene where she throws a fucking ashtray, like a 10-pound ashtray at his fucking face.
Mm.
There's some things that I'm like, this is really toxic and
Yeah.
abusive. And I don't know like how great of a message this is to certain people that are like in these relationships or
Mm.
people that are watching this that, are very impressionable that could get into a relationship like this. I'm not sure the message of that is really all that great. But then I guess you could say that about a lot of romantic comedies where it's kind of like the characters are somewhat toxic in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
But
in there is
this,
born the comedy, like you need that. We've kind of got a new wave of it now. Like I think as we go down our lists into some of the more modern stuff, we'll see that. But like a lot of the comedy came from that. Like even if you think about, and I know it wasn't necessarily romantic comedy, but if you think about like Vacation or even like The Simpsons and stuff like that, like Homer and Marge have one of the most toxic relationships of all
oh,
time.
for
But
sure. Yeah.
they also do clearly love each other, and like without his stupidity and her tolerance there is no humor. Like you need that. Like so. But that sounds way funny than I ever would have expected it. Like you talking about that, like you heard me laugh out loud just to talk about. It. I'm like that sounds great.
Yeah.
And like you talked about, like you heard me laugh when she got hit in the face with a football. I feel like you don't see women do a lot of slapstick stuff, and I think like a girl doing slapstick is so funny because you don't see that. Like I think like everyone gets so nervous being like, "Oh, you can't have like a man hurt a woman and let people laugh at it because that's insensitive and that's toxic, and it's like,
Yeah.
but if it's done in the form of comedy, like it's still deliberate. Like one of my favorite. Oh man, like there's a. Have you ever watched The Inbetweeners, the British sitcom The
Yeah.
Inbetweeners?
Yeah.
Okay,
I've
so
watched some of it. Yeah.
there's a great scene in a very early episode where they're playing frisbee at the park, and like the dweebiest guy in the group throws it too far, and it smacks a disabled woman in the face, and she's in a wheelchair, and it's so inappropriate, but it's so unexpected. You're like, oh my god, like you're not laughing at her, you're like, only this idiot could do that. And it's so funny. Like and
Yeah.
then like she refuses to give the frisbee back. She's like it's like I love all that. I love it when like people will do that because it's yeah, I actually think like it's actually really problematic that you wouldn't let women do slapstick because I think like
Yeah.
the idea of being like, oh no, we can't do that. It's like no, that is the opposite of feminism. By saying we can't do that, like you're taking away an opportunity for them to be funny and do something that men can do. So when you
Yeah.
said that she gets hit in the face of football, I'm like, I'm in. Like, give me more women doing slapstick.
Well,
Uh,
and the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about slapstick is Scary Movie. The way like fucking Cindy just keeps getting shit thrown at her
yes,
face.
yes.
Got some ice for your hand, Sid. Just throws it at her fucking face.
Oh,
Oh
that
my
was a really
god.
good Doofy impression. Like,
Oh, thank you. No, I'm very good at doing a doofy impression. I told you not to stir me when I'm cleaning my room. Oh
smell
my
my
god.
fingers. Um,
What the
uh,
hell? What the hell is that? My ass.
yeah, I Man, Scary Movie rocks. It's like that's like that's a problematic film as well, and like there's some things that don't hold up, but the things that do are very good.
But it's still funny though. I'm
Uh,
25 years old. Yeah, that's this many. Oh my god. And the
I'm.
fact that he kept going to conventions dressed up as Doofy is like
That's awesome.
such a move because it's like in this day and age where everyone's like so offended by everything. Granted, the Scary Movie does go pretty far in some of the offensive shit, but like it's still kind of funny. Like I hate to
Yeah.
admit it, but it's still fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, it
It's
is.
pretty much, I would
Um,
say, like, Scary Movie, like, 1 and 2, I would say are probably the last truly good parody movies. I think since then,
yeah,
like, I mean, there's actually one that's on my list, which I'm gonna talk about shortly, that I would say is a great parody movie, but for the most part, I think parody and spoof is gone. Like, you just
yeah.
people make
People
cheap
are
shots instead of, like, being clever about it, so
well, and people are also like I understand like being more, conscientious about not being as offensive, but I feel like a lot of people in this day and age are way too fucking sensitive at the same time. I'm kind of like, you guys are literally getting offended over nothing.
yeah.
Like, this is so stupid. Anyway,
And it's also yeah,
yeah.
you know what? Like, that I was like, "And another thing," but then I was like, "That's gonna take us down a rabbit hole."
And we're going to pause it right there. That's right. This episode is so long, my editor could not handle it. So we're going to cut it right there. And then next week, you'll hear the second half of the conversation where Michael and I talk about our favorite rom coms. As you can see, we've only really just started, and there's a lot more to come. So we'll see you next week. And as I say every week, guys, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better.